All right, let's dive into some seriously spooky stuff.
Yeah.
We're talking about campgrounds and hiking trails.
Okay.
With a reputation for the strange and unexplained.
Right.
The kind of places where whispers of curses and vanishings linger in the air.
It's fascinating how these stories,
Right.
often passed down through generations, pop up in cultures all over the world.
Yeah.
From the Superstition Mountains of Arizona to the Scottish Highlands.
Wow.
People seem drawn to the mystery of places
Yeah.
where the veil between the known and unknown
Right.
feels thin.
So for this deep dive,
Yeah.
you brought me a stack of stories
Yes.
from the true crime podcast Mystery Files, which really digs into these supposed cursed locations.
That's right.
But instead of just getting spooked out,
Okay.
I'm hoping we can use these stories as a jumping off point to explore what makes these places so captivating and whether there's any truth to the idea of a curse.
Okay.
Because the word curse itself can mean a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a supernatural force at play?
Right.
A psychological phenomenon?
Yeah.
Or maybe just a way of explaining events that defy rational understanding?
I'm ready to get to the bottom of it.
Okay.
So where do we start?
Well, let's begin with the locations themselves.
Okay.
Mystery Files covers cases from all over the map.
Right?
But what's striking is that many of these places,
Yeah.
despite their geographic diversity, share a common thread,
Yeah.
a history steeped in folklore and legend,
Uh-huh.
often with roots in Native American beliefs
Okay.
about the land and its spirits.
Okay, so we're not just talking about random spots in the woods.
All right.
These are places with stories
Yes.
woven into their very existence.
Precisely.
Wow.
And those stories,
Yeah.
whether we consciously believe them or not, can have a powerful impact on how we experience these places.
Right.
Especially when combined with the sensory deprivation.
And heightened awareness
Yeah.
that comes with being in the wilderness.
You're saying the environment itself
Yeah.
primes us for the unusual.
Think about it.
Okay.
You're surrounded by vastness,
Yeah.
silence, the constant awareness of potential danger.
Oh, I see.
Your senses are on high alert.
Right.
And your brain is working overtime to fill in the gaps,
Okay.
often leading to misinterpretations and heightened suggestibility.
So a rustling leaf could easily become a lurking creature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you add in the weight of pre-existing stories
Yeah.
about curses or strange happenings,
Right.
it's no wonder people report feeling a sense of dread, of being watched,
Right.
or even experiencing things that defy explanation.
All right. That makes sense.
Good.
But let's get specific.
Okay.
What are some of the cases
Yeah.
that really highlight this interplay between folklore, psychology, and the unexplained?
Well, one that immediately comes to mind is the case of Jesse Capon in the Superstition Mountains of Arizona.
Okay.
He was an experienced hiker, drawn to the area by the legend of the Lost Dutchman's gold mine.
Oh, yeah.
A story that's been passed down for generations
Wow.
and fueled countless treasure hunts,
Right.
some ending in tragedy.
Ah, the allure of the unknown and the risks people are willing to take for it.
Right.
So what happened to Capon?
He vanished in 2010,
Wow.
leaving behind his campsite and car.
Really?
His remains were eventually found years later.
Oh, wow.
But the cause of death remained a mystery, and this is just one of many disappearances linked to the superstitions.
Okay.
A place where people report encountering strange lights, eerie sounds, and that overwhelming feeling of being watched,
Wow.
as if the mountains themselves are guarding their secrets.
It's like the legend itself
Yeah.
becomes a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, drawing people in
Yes.
and then in some cases claiming them.
That's a fascinating way to put it.
Yeah.
And it raises the question,
What's that?
are these places intrinsically dangerous?
Right.
Or do the stories we tell about them make them so?
Okay, I'm hooked. Give me another case that delves into this idea of cursed locations and the power of suggestion.
How about we shift gears and travel across the country to Vermont's Bennington Triangle.
Okay.
This area gained notoriety in the mid-20th century for a series of disappearances that remain unsolved. To this day.
Really?
Each one adding to the aura of mystery
Right.
and fueling speculation about the area being cursed.
The Bennington Triangle.
Yes.
I've heard the name.
Right.
But I'd love a little more context.
Okay.
What kind of disappearances are we talking about?
Well, one of the most well-known cases is that of Paula Jean Wilden, an 18-year-old who vanished while hiking the Long Trail in 1946.
Whoa.
She was seemingly swallowed by the wilderness.
Oh, my gosh.
Leaving behind no trace.
Wow.
No explanation.
Okay.
And then just a few years later, in 1949, James Tedford disappeared from a crowded bus, leaving behind all his belongings.
Oh, wow.
It's as if he simply stepped out of reality.
Wow. It's that lack of any trace.
No.
That suddenness that really gets under your skin, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it taps into that primal fear of the unknown.
Right.
The idea that something out there could just take you without a sound, without a reason.
Exactly.
Wow.
And when those disappearances cluster in a specific area, already steeped in folklore about strange occurrences, it's easy to see how the idea of a curse takes hold.
So we've got the Superstition Mountains.
Yes.
A place where legend and the harsh landscape seem to conspire against those seeking hidden treasures.
Right.
And then the Bennington Triangle.
Yes.
Where people vanish without a trace.
Right.
Fueling speculation about forces beyond our comprehension.
And what's interesting is that in both locations, you have reports of not just disappearances, but also strange phenomena, lights in the sky.
Wow.
Eerie sounds.
Right.
And that pervasive feeling of being watched, it's almost as if the very air is charged with an unsettling energy.
It's making me wonder if there's a connection between those unexplained events and the disappearances themselves.
Yeah.
Could they be more than just spooky coincidences?
That's a great question, and one we'll definitely want to explore further.
Okay.
But before we do, let's add one more location to the mix.
Okay.
A place where the line between the real and the supernatural feels particularly blurred.
All right, I'm ready for another dose of spooky.
Okay.
Where are we headed next?
Let's journey to the Black Hills of South Dakota. Okay.
Where the rugged landscape and Native American history create a backdrop ripe for tales of the unexplained.
Okay.
And one case that really stands out from mystery files is the disappearance of 14-year-old Tim Barnes.
Okay. A teenager vanishing in the wilderness?
Yeah.
That's a parent's worst nightmare.
Right.
What happened?
He went missing in 1971 while on a short hike with his family.
Right.
Despite extensive searches, he was never found.
Oh, wow.
But what makes this case particularly chilling are the reports that surfaced years later.
Oh, really?
People claiming to hear faint calls for help.
No way.
A young boy's voice emanating from the area where he disappeared.
Wait, so years later, people are still hearing his voice?
That's what they're saying.
That sends shivers down my spine.
I know.
Is there any explanation for that, or is it pure paranormal activity?
Well, that's where things get interesting.
Okay.
Because it could be a genuine phenomenon.
Perhaps some acoustic quirk of the environment that amplifies and distorts sounds, creating auditory illusions.
Interesting.
Or it could be a psychological manifestation.
Okay.
A way for our minds to project our fears and anxieties onto the landscape.
So are we talking about a real ghost? A trick of the air, or a ghost in the machine of our minds?
Perhaps a bit of each.
Oh, okay.
Because what we're starting to see here is that the idea of a curse isn't necessarily about a single definitive explanation.
Right.
It's more like a convergence of factors.
Okay.
The power of the landscape, the weight of history and folklore, the psychological effects of isolation, and maybe, just maybe, something beyond our current understanding.
I see. Okay, I'm already feeling the chills just thinking about the places we've discussed. The Superstition Mountains, the Bennington Triangle, the Black Hills, each with its own unique set of stories and mysteries, but all pointing towards this idea that some locations hold a power that we don't fully grasp.
And the cases we've discussed so far have primarily revolved around disappearances, which are inherently unsettling because they leave so many unanswered questions. But as we delve deeper into these cursed locations, we find that vanishings are just one piece of the puzzle.
Oh, there's more.
Yes.
All right, lay it on me.
Okay.
What other strange phenomena are we talking about?
Well, remember how we talked about the psychological effects of the wilderness?
Yeah.
How our senses can be heightened and our minds primed for misinterpretations? Well, in some of these locations, those misinterpretations seem to take on a particularly vivid and unsettling form.
So it's not just about things going bump in the night.
No.
But about our perceptions of reality itself becoming distorted. Wow. And one case that really highlights this is the story of John Doe on Mount Shasta in California.
Okay.
He was a young boy who went missing while camping with his family.
Oh, no.
When he was found hours later, he claimed to have met a robotic version of his grandmother underground.
Wait, a robotic grandmother?
I know.
That's definitely not your typical campfire story.
It is bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
And while it's tempting to dismiss it as a child's overactive imagination, there's a recurring theme of encounters with unusual beings or entities.
Okay.
In locations with a cursed reputation.
So it's not just about things disappearing, but about things appearing that shouldn't be there.
Precisely.
Interesting.
And these encounters often blur the line between the physical and the psychological, leaving us to wonder if what people are seeing is a manifestation of the landscape's energy. A trick of the mind or something else entirely. Okay, that's definitely pushing the boundaries of what I thought we'd be discussing today.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued.
Good.
What other examples of these strange encounters did you find in Mystery Files?
Well, we've already touched on the reports of shadowy figures in places like the Grand Teton National Park and the Twin Peaks Wilderness. Hikers describe feeling a sense of dread of being watched, which certainly feeds into the idea that these locations have a presence, a consciousness that reacts to human intrusion.
It's like the wilderness itself is sentient and not necessarily happy to see us.
That's a powerful image, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it connects back to the idea of curses as a form of protection.
Okay.
A way for certain locations to guard their secrets or ward off those who disrespect their power.
Okay, I'm starting to see how the curse concept can be more than just a spooky story. It's a way of understanding our relationship with the wilderness, acknowledging that there are forces at play that we may not fully comprehend.
Exactly. And as we delve into more specific phenomena associated with these cursed locations, we find even more layers of complexity and intrigue.
All right, hit me with some more of those intriguing details.
Okay.
What other strange occurrences did Mystery Files uncover?
Well, one recurring theme is the experience of disorientation and lost time. Particularly in locations with dense forests or unusual geological formations.
Like getting lost in the woods.
Yeah.
But on a whole other level.
Exactly. Think of it as a disconnect. Between your perception of time and the actual passage of time.
I see.
Mystery Files highlighted a couple of locations where this phenomenon is particularly prevalent. One is the Hoia Baciu Forest in Romania. Often called the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania.
Ooh, Transylvania.
Yeah.
Now that's a name that conjures up images of all sorts of mysterious happenings.
And the Hoia Baciu Forest lives up to its reputation.
Oh, wow.
People who venture into the forest report experiencing intense disorientation, seeing strange apparitions, and even emerging hours or even days later with no memory of what happened.
It's like they step into a time warp. Or maybe even another dimension.
Yeah.
Are there any theories about what might cause this?
Well, there are strange circular clearings in the forest where nothing grows. Leading some to speculate that it might be a gateway to another realm.
Oh, wow.
Or a point where magnetic fields or other natural forces disrupt our normal perception of time.
Okay, so we're back to that blend of the scientific and the supernatural. It's fascinating how these stories make you question everything you thought you knew about reality.
And the Hoia Baciu Forest isn't the only place where time seems to bend and twist. Mystery Files also touched on Japan's Aokigahara Forest, sometimes called the Suicide Forest due to its tragic history.
That's a place with a very heavy and somber reputation.
It is.
What kind of experiences do people report there?
Similar to Hoia Baciu, visitors to Aokigahara describe a feeling of disorientation hearing voices,
okay,
and even having their compasses and GPS devices malfunction.
Wow.
There's a sense that the forest itself is somehow interfering with our technology and our perception of reality.
It's like stepping into a place where the rules of the world as we know it no longer apply.
Precisely.
Wow.
And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of the curse concept. The idea that certain locations possess a kind of inherent power, an energy that can influence both our physical and mental states.
Okay, I'm really curious to dive deeper into that idea.
Yeah.
We've talked about the power of suggestion, the psychological effects of isolation, and even the possibility of other dimensions. But what about the idea of a location having its own energy, its own spirit?
Well, one case that really gets to the heart of that question is the story of Kenny Veach and the M Cave in the Mojave Desert.
I remember reading about that one.
Yeah.
A hiker vanishes into the desert, searching for a mysterious cave that gave him the creeps.
Right.
It's like a modern-day treasure hunt gone wrong.
Exactly.
Wow.
Kenny Veach was an avid hiker who claimed to have found a cave that filled him with an overwhelming sense of dread.
Oh, wow.
He called it the M Cave. And documented his attempts to find it again, even posting videos online.
It's interesting how technology, in this case, becomes a way to document the mystery, to share the experience of the unknown with others.
Absolutely.
Right.
And in Veach's case, it also adds to the tragedy because his final video shows him heading into the desert.
Oh, wow.
Never to be seen again.
So the mystery of the BM cave remains unsolved.
Yes.
Wow.
Despite extensive searches, Veach was never found. His phone was located near the area where he believed the cave to be. But the cave itself, if it even exists, has never been definitively located.
It's like the desert swallowed him whole, keeping its secrets hidden.
And that brings us back to the question of the land's power. Because in many of these stories, the wilderness itself becomes a character. An active participant in the mystery.
It's not just a backdrop, but a force to be reckoned with.
Exactly. And that force can manifest in different ways. Through strange phenomena, disorientation, or even, as in the case of Kenny Veach, a sense of overwhelming dread that warns us to stay away.
So are you saying that these cursed locations are actually trying to protect themselves? To keep us out?
That's one interpretation. And it aligns with the idea that some places hold a sacred or spiritual significance that deserves respect. Even reverence.
That's a really interesting perspective. It's not about evil spirits or malevolent forces. But about acknowledging the power of the natural world and approaching it with humility.
And perhaps a healthy dose of caution, because as we've seen, not all who venture into these cursed locations return unscathed.
We've journeyed from the Arizona desert to the forests of Romania and Japan. Each location adding another layer to this idea of cursed places. It's like we're piecing together a map of the unexplained, and with each new story, the lines between reality and folklore become blurrier.
And what's remarkable is that these stories aren't confined to ancient legends or isolated incidents. They continue to emerge even in our modern world. A testament to the enduring power of these places and the mysteries they hold.
So you're telling me there are more recent cases that fit this pattern of strange disappearances and eerie phenomena.
In fact, Mystery Files highlighted a case from 2013 that really stuck with me. The disappearance of Prabdeep Strawn in Australia's snowy mountains. He was an experienced hiker, but vanished without a trace.
Wow.
Leaving behind his GPS and cell phone in his car.
It's like he stepped out of his car and into thin air.
And despite extensive searches, no sign of him was ever found. What's particularly eerie about this case is that it echoes a recurring theme we've seen in other cursed locations. The feeling of being watched, of an unseen presence.
Wow.
Locals claim there are parts of the snowy mountains where this feeling is so intense, it's almost palpable.
It's like the landscape itself is observing you. Judging your every move.
That's a chilling way to put it. but it captures the essence of what many people report experiencing in these places.
So we're not just talking about the power of suggestion.
No.
Or our minds playing tricks on us.
Right.
It's like there's something more.
Yeah.
Something inherent to these locations that evokes this feeling of unease.
Right.
Of being observed.
That's a possibility we have to consider.
Right.
And the Snowy Mountains aren't the only location where this feeling is prevalent. Remember Tenaya Canyon in Yosemite National Park?
Yeah.
It's earned the nickname the Bermuda Triangle of the park.
Oh, wow.
Due to its high number of accidents and disappearances.
Oh, really?
Some of them truly bizarre.
I'm all ears.
Okay.
Give me the spooky details.
Well, there are accounts of campers vanishing for days.
Wow.
Only to reappear with no memory of where they've been or what happened.
Oh, my gosh.
It's as if they've been taken, held captive by some unseen force, and then returned with their memories wiped clean.
Okay, that's straight out of a science fiction movie.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it speaks to the idea that in some of these locations, the laws of nature, as we understand them, might not apply.
Wow.
Perhaps there are forces at work that we simply haven't discovered or can't comprehend with our current scientific understanding.
So it's not necessarily about malevolent spirits or ancient curses, but about acknowledging that there might be more to the universe than we currently know.
Precisely.
Okay.
And these cursed locations with their strange occurrences and unexplained phenomena offer a glimpse into that unknown realm.
Yeah.
A challenge to our perception of reality.
All right. I'm starting to feel like we've only scratched the surface of this topic. We've talked about disappearances, strange encounters, disorientation, and the feeling of being watched. But there's one element that keeps popping up, weaving its way through these stories.
Yeah.
Like an unsettling soundtrack.
You're talking about the sounds.
Exactly.
Okay.
The phantom whistlers on Ben McDewey, the whispers in the trees, the voices calling for help.
Yeah.
Even Kenny Veach describing the eerie silence of the M Cave.
Yes.
It's like sound. Or the lack of it.
Right.
Plays a key role in shaping the experience of these cursed locations.
That's a fascinating observation.
Yeah.
And I think you're onto something because sound, particularly in the wilderness, can be incredibly evocative. It can trigger our primal instincts, heighten our senses, and even create a sense of unease or foreboding.
Think about how a sudden snap of a twig in a silent forest can make your heart jump into your throat.
Right.
It's like our brains are wired to interpret those sounds as potential threats.
Exactly. And in locations where those sounds become distorted, amplified, or take on an otherworldly quality.
Right.
It's no wonder people report feeling a sense of unease, even terror.
So are we talking about actual acoustic anomalies, tricks of the ear, or something more paranormal?
Right.
Like, are those whispers in the trees actually spirits trying to communicate?
It's impossible to say for sure.
Okay.
But what's interesting is that in many cultures, sound is associated with the spiritual realm. Think of chanting, singing bowls, the ringing of bells in religious ceremonies.
Yeah.
Sound is often seen as a way to connect with the divine or the unseen.
So those whispers in the trees could be interpreted as a form of spiritual communication.
Right.
A way for the land or its spirits to make their presence known.
That's one way to look at it.
Okay.
And it ties back to the idea that these cursed locations are more than just places. They're entities with their own energy, their own stories to tell.
Wow.
If we're willing to listen.
Okay. I'm starting to think that listening might be the key to understanding these places.
Yeah.
Not just with our ears, but with our intuition, our openness to experiences that might challenge our rational understanding of the world.
And perhaps that's the most important takeaway from all of this.
Good.
These cursed locations, with their chilling stories and unexplained phenomena, invite us to step outside our comfort zones, to consider the possibility that there's more to reality than meets the eye or the ear.
It's a reminder that we don't have all the answers.
Right.
And that the unknown, while potentially unsettling, can also be a source of wonder and inspiration.
And as we wrap up our deep dive, I'd encourage our listeners to keep exploring. Read the stories, listen to the accounts, and maybe even visit some of these locations for yourselves. But always with a healthy dose of respect and awareness.
Because even if we never fully understand the mysteries of these cursed places, the journey of exploration, the questioning, and the sense of awe they evoke are valuable in themselves.
Absolutely.
And as we head into this spooky season, who knows what other mysteries we might uncover.
Exactly.
Sweet dreams.